I'll bet you guys thought I forgot that I had to discuss Resident Evil 2. But, I've been busy, preoccupied with life, work, and other Capcom-related entities. Don't worry, I'll discuss that one too. I'll discuss that as well eventually. But, yeah, Resident Evil 2. This is going to be my discussion of it. It's another video where I sit on the porch, smoke a cigarette, and talking to my phone. So, if at any point it cuts out, I'm sorry. I don't know how long the phone's going to decide to record for this time. I really hate this phone. I need a new camera. That's what I really need. But they're expensive. I've looked in there. They're expensive. One that wouldn't hamper me and is HD would be very expensive. But before I get into talking about Resident Evil 2, I wanted to mention something. On the last episode of my playthrough, I assume a subscriber. What was that? I assume a subscriber commented how watching my playthrough reminded him of when he used to watch his cousin play Resident Evil 3 when he was little. And he enjoyed my playthrough because it reminded him of those memories. He also told me how she passed away in 2018 from cancer. And that right there is... it's a mixed emotion, you know? I'll say what I said in the comment. To that subscriber, you should hold those memories close to you. You should focus on the good. And you should always remember the good times you had. Because video games as a medium presents very specific memories. You know, you can watch a movie with somebody, you can listen to music with somebody. It'd be really weird to read a book with somebody because one of you would always be lagging behind. But with video games, it's a very interactive medium. And it presents real, tangible, wonderful memories. So I wanted to just say thank you for that comment. I get a lot of shit on this channel. Like, I'm not popular, but I get trolls too, and I get stupid comments. Hell, during the same playthrough, somebody was like, "You're fat and bad at games." Okay. But it was nice to see a comment like that that had some merit to it for once. And I appreciate your comment all the same. So I wanted to go ahead and just let you know that Capcom is more than likely going to do Resident Evil 3. And I'll let's play that one as well. And it'll be in honor of the memory of your family member. So, now that I've got the feels out of the way, let's talk about Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 1 is my favorite of the old school fixed camera angle, item management, survival puzzle, survival horror games. RPGs. That would be really weird if Resident Evil went RPG. Could you imagine that? Leon on one side, shooting at zombies on the other side, you know, taking turns. Anyway. The original Resident Evil is my favorite of the old school Resident Evil games. And Resident Evil 2 on the Xbox One, the PS4, the PC, and I'm assuming eventually maybe Switch, is probably my favorite of the over-the-shoulder third-person shooter Resident Evils. There's been a lot of Resident Evil games that have over-the-shoulder shooting. It started with Resident Evil 4, and since then that's been kind of the go-to thing, but it got way too actiony. You know, there's games that people love, like, of course, Resident Evil 4. There's games people hate, like Resident Evil 6 and fucking Operation Raccoon City, even though I enjoyed both of those, because they're good. But Resident Evil 2, the reimagining, was a really good game. And I have to say, if you haven't purchased it yet, you really should. It's worth picking up. It's worth owning. It's not perfect. I'm going to go over some inconsistencies real quick, but it's a really good-ass game. So if the video recording stops at any moment because my phone's a piece of crap, just know it's good. You need to get it. But in this video, I want to go over the things I didn't like, the things I liked. I want to talk about gameplay mechanics. I want to talk about story sequences, and I just want to give my overall thoughts on the game. So we're going to start off with the things I did not like about Resident Evil 2. Some things that I think they could have done better with. First and foremost, let's talk about Mr. X. Mr. X was an enemy that you encountered on your second playthrough of the original Resident Evil 2. When you would go through the B scenario is when he would show up. I think that Capcom, first and foremost, did a bit of a disservice to him by just throwing him into the main campaign right off the bat. I didn't expect him. He was a welcome surprise. But at the same time, after thinking about it, I think it takes away a lot of the punch that the second playthrough could have had. After all, the first playthrough of original Resident Evil 2, you focused mainly on William Birkin. And this time it felt like Mr. X was a bit of an afterthought in some sequences. But the thing I really didn't like about Mr. X was the idea that he could encounter you anywhere. I gotta get a new lighter. Do you enjoy looking at the bottom side of my chin? Anyway, the thing I didn't like about Mr. X was that he could encounter you anywhere, which can be scary and tense and good, but at the same time it turns into the shenanigans I had in the library where you're trying desperately to get him to move away from the puzzle you're trying to solve. I hope sincerely that Capcom doesn't follow these exact same methods when trying to recreate Nemesis. Nemesis should be a thing that shows up in Resident Evil 3, and he should be a thing that, is triggered by certain events and stalks you and does all that, but don't have him just roam around. Don't have him be a constant, tangible threat. That honestly got tiresome. While Mr. X is cool, the idea that you would pump a few rounds into him, he'd kneel for a minute and then get back up was shit. So I'm going to give Capcom a bit of advice real quick. Let's say they do make Resident Evil 3 and Nemesis is in there. Have him show up at certain key moments, have him surprise you, but don't let him always be following you around. And if you shoot him and put him down, number one, he should give you items like he did in the original. Number two, let's say you're playing on easy, he disappears for like half an hour. Say you're playing on normal, he disappears for like 15 minutes. If you're playing on hard, he disappears like 5 minutes and then comes back to fuck your shit up. Okay? There. I saved you some trouble, Capcom. Mr. X was a bit annoying after a while. He had his moments, but I did not like how often he was just pestering me. Another small hiccup with Resident Evil 2, which isn't even a problem for me because I didn't notice it in my playthrough, I was too busy enjoying the game, is how certain story sequences don't match up when the A and B scenarios are supposed to be one tangible series of events. Now, this was a problem in the original Resident Evil 2, but it didn't bother me there either. But let's say scenarios like when you go into the room that catches on fire and Birkin stabs his claw through the ceiling. You go through that exact same scenario and that exact same boss fight with the exact same Krang in both sequences. And I think that's a detriment to the story. Like, for instance, late in the game when both Claire and Leon are encountering Annette Birkin and the third form of G right after obtaining an item from the secret lab, and it's confusing because you have to assume that let's say that the series of events right now. Who the fuck messaged me? Let's say the series of events right now. Okay, stop. I'm making a video. Do you mind? Anywho, let's say the series of events goes like this. Claire and Sherry reach the place. Claire gets the vaccine for the G virus, and she encounters Annette and Birkin in that room, and that tears the room apart, and then she gets back to the room where Sherry is, and she cures Sherry, and Annette dies in that room. Or she supposedly dies. Let's say then, Annette gets up, goes back to that room, gets some umbrella, construction workers to prepare the room, and then, Birkin's like, alright, I'll do it again, and Leon goes through that same scenario again, meets Annette again, fights Birkin again, and then the bridge destroyed, and Annette dies, and Ada falls. It's a detriment to the story. It is. I didn't notice it when I was playing, but it is a detriment. But I think it's just an instance of Capcom wanting to give you a little bit more content. I thought it was fun, but I can see where people are bothered by it. But those are the only real negatives I have with Resident Evil 2. Everything else was really good. So, talking about the game, there were a number of new things in this reimagining. First and foremost, the puzzles have been revamped. There are some familiar parts, but there's instances like, well, where do I use this red crystal or this red jewel? I didn't know because I remembered where I used it in the original game, but they completely flipped the script. You got to get 3 medallions now to open up the the puzzle in the main hall, and it doesn't just give you a key, it takes you somewhere. It's somewhere new. You have new gameplay mechanics such as the ability to board up walls, the ability to use your combat knife or grenade to defend yourself from a bite or an attack. These are great mechanics. One of the things I enjoyed the most was how they made the over-the-shoulder shooting tense again by having your targeting crosshair bloom when you're moving. If you stand perfectly still, it'll fixate and it'll pinpoint and you can get good, solid shots. However, if you're moving, like if you're backing up or if you're trying desperately to create space, you're going to have problems hitting the target because the crosshair is bloomed. That is a great mechanic. It needs to make a comeback in Resident Evil 3. It's a good way to make it so you can move and shoot, but at the same time, you kind of need to stand still and let them get close so you can get a good shot. I think Capcom did a great job on that gameplay mechanic, and I thought it was awesome the whole way through. Yes, it sometimes fucked me over, but I still enjoyed it thoroughly. The story of Resident Evil 2 is still really good. It revolves around, of course, Leon Scott Kennedy on his first day on the Force, doing just a terrible job, and Claire Redfield trying to find out what happened to her brother and encountering Sherry. And there are new story missions and new gameplay additions in this reimagining. For instance, the parts you played as Ada and Sherry in the original game were garbage. They're not good. Compared to the new sections, they're terrible. I don't like Ada's mechanic of like hacking things, but it was fun playing as her and going through scenarios with her. And Sherry's new gameplay section is absolutely perfect. It is on spot. You feel the helplessness and the fear, and it is so good. I loved the orphanage sequence. I thought it was amazing. It was a great section. The story, of course, though, does revolve around the fall of Raccoon City. And Raccoon City has always been a big thing for me. It's what makes me excited about Resident Evil 3's possibility, because I want to explore the city streets more. That could be seen as a detriment for this reimagining, that you didn't explore the streets as much as you did in the original. Again, I didn't notice it, but it didn't bother me. But the story of this game was really good, and it had a lot more emotion put into it. The original game, yes, the acting can sometimes be cringy. Yes, the voice acting. Yes, the cutscenes. Okay. This one, though, had a lot of impact, and I loved the way they characterized new individuals. For instance, Marvin Branagh. If you play through the game a scenario with both characters, you'll see a big difference in Marvin. When he's interacting with Leon, he's very stern. He is very forceful. He even pulls a gun on Leon. However, when Claire is interacting with him, he's much softer. Probably because he has a lot of respect for her brother, who is a STARS officer. It was so interesting seeing them make him into a character that I gave a shit about. To the point I didn't really want to put him down when he was a zombie. Granted, that'd be the humane thing to do, but it made me feel bad. And he was such a throwaway character in the original, and they made him so interesting in this one, and I loved it. They characterized Annette more. They characterized Ada more. It was just really good. And they turned Kendo, who again was a throwaway character, into someone I really rooted for when playing the extra DLC content. I loved the shit out of what they did with this game. They did it just right. I was so worried, but they did it perfectly. It was great. Overall, I enjoyed Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3. Oh god, I just got up. Overall, I enjoyed Resident Evil 2. The additions they've made, the new gameplay mechanics, the fleshing out of the story, and the free DLC that people bitched about for some reason. Oh, it's just another trial run like the fourth Survivor. Who gives a shit? It's free content. You didn't have to pay for it. Why are you bitching? Shut the fuck up. Because it was actually really fun. And when I found out it had training mode, I had a better time with it. It's hard, it's challenging, but it's good. And I love the idea of Kendo getting out of this situation. I loved Resident Evil 2. It was amazing. And if you guys have forgotten, Devil Dog, Nathan of Devil Dog Gaming is the one who sent it to me. I could have bought it on my own. I have a job. I'm working. I'm making money. But he sent it to me. So I want to say thank you again to Nathan. I want to say thank you to those of you who watched it, those of you who comment, those of you who support my channel, even though it's a shitty little dinky channel. I want to say thank you. And again to that subscriber, when Resident Evil 3 Reimagining comes out, oh, I'm going to let's play it. I'm going to Let's Play it for sure. And I hope you'll be there. And I hope the rest of you will be there. If you haven't played Resident Evil 2 yet, I recommend you do. And if you have, what did you think about it? Did you think it had a lot of problems? Did you think they did a poor job executing it? Let me know in the comments down below. And please stay tuned to the channel. I'm always uploading now. I'm doing lots of different things. I'm having a good time. Life is getting better. So please support me. Please comment. Please like. Because if you're not doing that, it's really, honestly, it fucks with my anxiety. So be sure to pay attention to my channel. If you haven't ring my bell and pay attention to what I do on here, because I need your attention. Please. Thank you for watching. Thank you again to Nathan of Devil Dog Gaming for sending me Resident Evil 2. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it more than you know. And I love the shit out of Resident Evil 2 reimagining. And I can't wait for Resident Evil 3. Take care, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.